Hello and welcome to the first episode of The Art Shack. I am the Bunny Man, and a little bit about myself. I graduated in graphic design and do illustration. I've been doing that for since about 2012, and I decided I was going to help people who want to know how to do stuff. Um, and I was going to do tutorial videos for everybody, and it's a learning process for me and a learning process for you, and it helps push me along and gives me something to do. So let's begin, shall we? Today we're going to actually do the Art Shack logo. And the program I'm using is the Adobe Illustrator program, CC, sorry. Keep changing them like every 2 years. So let's get started. What is a vector, you may ask, if you don't know? Vector is a mathematical process. This program tells the same program what it can and can't do, what the boundaries are. The great thing about this is it uses mathematics, like I just said, and the colors and all that stuff, the coding, and it could be stretched to infinity. You could literally cover an entire city with a design. Unlike Photoshop, which uses pixels, so that's why if you expand a Photoshop image pretty big, it starts to artifact, which is bits and pieces, start separating, or becomes very blocky, or loses the crispness of that image. So in vector, it doesn't do that. It's just you can cover everything with it if you really want to. So let's begin with this the Art Shack. Alright, so here you can see I did two different ideas of the logo. This was my first one. It was just in my head floating around. And then I did this one, which was a more refined version that I wanted. And then I'm going to take this one and change this up just a little bit. Make it all even. And then maybe add a background and a foreground a little bit. Just make it really flat. Change up the wording a little bit. Try to make a little vintage here and there. So let's see how this works, shall we? So here's the pen tool. This is your best friend. So that's what you want, is that pen tool. Oh, and as you can see, because I'm a big giant doof, on this scan, I locked it. This is how you lock. So this is unlocked. This is locked. That's all you have to do. And all this is, it just says this image cannot be doodled on. And that's great if you just want to go, well, I want to see what it looks like without the image behind it. And you click on this eyeball, and it disappears. There's no more image. Re-click it, it reappears. It's fantastic. Okay, so if, for instance, I forget a lock and I'm doing stuff on it, I want to just keep going and going, and I forget that image is on there. Command Z is also another one you're going to love. So Command Z or Control Z if you're on the PC like I am. I'm also using a Wacom board. It's an older one. It's a Wacom Bamboo CH7 or something like it. I got for Christmas a few years ago. And I love this thing. Although I love to upgrade, I just don't have the money for it right now. Unfortunately, I'm not a professional. I was, but there's a whole different story. Alright, so like I said, I'm just designing, right? And there's that image. I'm like, okay, this is what I want. Crap. I don't want this image. And unlike Photoshop, if you put it on an image, it's not the end of the world. So you open up this, and this expands the paths. So this is my path right here. See? Path. And I'm like, man, I don't want it on that art layer, so I'm going to move it on its own art layer. And that's all you have to do. And then you can lock it if you want. It's fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. That's one advantage that that Illustrator has over Photoshop. They both have their great benefits, but this Illustrator is really what you need to be designing logos in. So, let's get started, shall we? Just said that. Alright, over here is your fill and your stroke. So, I know the first time I used Illustrator when I was in school, this thing confused the crap out of me. I didn't know how to do anything on it. So, if you're like me and you're like, okay, this is it. This is what do I do here? I don't want to fill yet because it's going to distract me. I just want to sort of trace out my image for a little bit, and then I'm going to go in and do the fill I want. And I like to work in like black or red, depending. Sometimes blue. And I'm like, man, I don't want this fill. So what do? Well, I push the none. It takes out that fill. I don't have a fill. And if I want to do a fill, like let's just make a random shape. Like that. I'm like, alright, I want that solid to be solid black. What do I do? Do I have to? Because if I put the fill on it, let's use something other than, I get this weird stroke, and I don't want to stroke around it because if you're like me, you don't really care for strokes. Man, I don't want that stroke, but I don't know how to get rid of it. So you click on that, on the stroke, which was behind the fill, and you just have to click on it, and you press the none. You have to click on it and press the none. No more fill. No more stroke. No more stroke. It's fantastic. So, there's that. And then there's that. Now, if you want to change the size of the stroke, all you have to do is here. Go here. So, Illustrator defaults on 1 point. You could have really thin stuff, which I've done in the past. You can have really, really thick strokes. Really, really thick. And then if you're doing stuff and you don't, like let's say you just want to draw a line. Let's move that up to 3 points. And you just don't like that uniformed, or it just takes away from that design. You can go up here and put a point on it, and see it goes that way. Like I said, with every Adobe product out there, it takes time to get used to it, and really you just need to play around with it. So let's get started on this art shack. So let's lock that layer. Let's go up here to the pen tool. Let's zoom in, which is a control, and then the plus and minus, and scroll up a little bit. And you can see here's where it is. So I like to use the ruler on occasion, and that's a Control R program button, and see and it creates that ruler, and that tells me everything I need right there. Okay, so unlike in Photoshop, the ruler actually creates its own layer within here. See, it's under guide, under the path. So if you're really sort of like, I really don't want that, or you forget about it, I like to create another layer, and we can label this one guides. So, and we can lock those guides, and that way, if I don't want the guides, we can get rid of them. I've also had times where when I'm pinning out what I need to pin out, it bumps into those guides and creates sort of a bump. It's a very strange thing. I don't know what causes that, and it's sort of distracting. So let's just have the guides locked on its own layer. So we have we could put this as scan, and some people can design directly into design directly into Photoshop or Illustrator. I, on the other hand, like to have a hand drawing. And here's the thing. I started out as a fine artist. I'm actually an oil painter. And then I decided that there was no money in it. So I found graphic design when I went to a 4-year university, and I fell in love with it. And that's what I wanted to. It's still in the art career. I'm still creative. But it's more of a corporate. And there's nothing wrong with corporate design because it pays the bills. You can still be creative. You're not selling yourself out like most people think. It's just you have to play more by the rules. That's all. That's all. But I mean, it even has its own challenges. So, and remember, everything is design. Everything is design. Uh, from your shoes to how a TV looks and all the advertisements. Somebody has to design all this stuff. So, that's my high horse. So we could do this one of two ways. We can do this. Well, this. What is this? We could just create a box. Okay, there's our box. Let's throw a picker on. Okay. So we just threw. My computer is a little slow for some reason. So there we go. And we just take it by the edge. See, you can where the arrow turns into this weird sort of twist, not a twist, but a I don't know, elbows like macaroni. When you do that, you can twist it, and what it uses to twist is this point here. That's your center. Now you can use that center if you really want to with a direct select tool, I believe. Yeah. Well, I always do it when I'm not even thinking, and it always screws me up. Well, I can't do it now for some odd reason. We'll do it when I'm probably doing something. Okay. So, and I don't want to change it, but you can change it to down here, to here, if you really want to. But centered is fine. This is about where I want it at. Just a little bit. And then we'll just pull that way. Now, I don't want it to be just like this. So what I want to do is bring these ends, this one and this one, inwards. And I'll do that again down here. And now you can hold shift and it'll give a uniformed, and keep it straight. Because if you don't, see, here's shift. Well, I'm a big giant liar tonight, I guess. I don't know. Alright. That's about what I want it to look like. And that's our first roof. And now I did a Control C and then a Control V. So copy and paste. Now you think, why is it V and not P? Go ahead, hit P, hit Control P. Yeah, you just hit Control Print. So that's why we have V. Some of the shortcuts are great, some of them just don't make any sense. So I just clicked on my, like I said, I'm using a Wacom, I'm using the pen, and there's a button on the pen that just lets me come here. It's basically a right click on your mouse, and you just hit reflect, which is not what I wanted. It was, yeah, I did. Okay, and I want to, I don't know what I'm thinking tonight. Reflect vertical. There we go. And let's match it up. Alright. Let's zoom in. Let's see what it's like up here at the top. We want to make that absolutely even. And fix these. So we're starting to see it come to life a little bit. And see, that way, if you do it from one and you're not, and you have it from the other, it looks, it'll turn out to be even. All right, let's create another box. Alright, let's cinch that in. Let's bring that in. Let's elongate that too. Not rotate. Let's elongate. Oh yeah. Alright, let's elongate that. Oh. Alright. And now let's bring this up a little bit. Isn't that sexy? Yeah. Alright. Well. What I'd like to do sometimes, just to make sure that I'm not going nuts and everything is even, is from here, from there to there, because I want it to make sure that both of these are on the exact same. There we go. And there we go. We have all right. Let's delete that. Let's look like without the drawing. See? That's what it looks like. Let's look like without filled. Alright, see how the difference is? Now what we do is just sort of do some finishing touches to it. Alright, there we go. It's a house. Planning on moving in tomorrow. Alright. Now we'll do another box. Okay. This time we're going to be manipulating this box to make it like the lid of the eye. And then these are handles for our points. And there we go. We're going to reflect this again. This time we're going to do a horizontal reflect. And we've got the eyelids of an eye. Now, let's do the eyeball. Okay. Let's look. We have no lines. You can see it started to look like an eyeball. Alright. Let's put in the little door here. Alright, so you're asking, Bunny Man, what do we do now? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I don't want that. It doesn't look right. I don't know what to do. A lot of people don't know about this. And this is really cool. So let's make this black. I want that black. I want this red. Now, this is called the Pathfinder. And we'll push Unite, which will make it all one piece. The opposite piece I'm looking for. So, we'll do minus front. And voila. That side goes in that side. And it combines the two paths into one. So, you don't have to use white. You just do that way. And it makes a seamless path. You don't know how many times, because I used to work in a place where I had to dissect logos and make them ready to be engraved on metal or on crystals. And you don't know how many times I had to dissect and do this over and over and over again because people just used white. This way, you don't have to use white, and it's ready for use either if you're going to do it on metal or what in that industry called sublimation, which is printing it on metal by using a heat press and things like that. And it also, you don't have to worry about, even if you're doing embroidery or just printing it on a colored piece of paper, that white showing up. It's a really nice little nifty tool. Let's make that a little bit bigger and let's center it. There we go. Alright, let's put some definition into this. So let's start a new layer. Let's lock that old one. Well, let's play around. Because an eye, you never see it like this, right? So let's do add here. Oh, because I have it locked. Now why did I do that? Because I'm going to delete right here. And I push exclude. And that way, just deletes that. I don't have to deal with it anymore. Now, let's use our pen tool again. Combine. We're just adding some pointed details. Now, if you just made that mistake like I did, what you can do is push the div. One of two things. You can close up that path in a way where it's close like that. Okay? And then what we're going to do, hopefully it'll work. If not, we'll push unite. Well, let's continue this and then we'll see what we can do. Half the time in design, it's screwing up. Nothing's ever perfect. You never learn if everything's perfect. Don't be afraid to question yourself. Don't be afraid to look up stuff. You know, Milton Glasser, one of the greatest graphic designers, you know, he wasn't perfect all the time. Okay, so alright. Actually, I'm sort of happy with that. So what we're going to do is put another pinpoint there. Bring that up. Span that. You know, I sort of like the point, to be honest. Everything else is pretty pointy. Alright. And voila. Now, not a huge fan of this one. I'm going to pull some of these back. So I played around a bit with that. Play around with the points. Now I feel like I have too many points here, so let's take the delete anchor points. And there we go. Let's expand these a little bit. Now let's do something similar at the bottom. Oh, it's on delete. Let's add. Now let's do our divide again. Alright. Smooth this out. Alright, let's bring that point back up. Zoom. And sometimes you'll lose that point. So what you have to do is take to your drop down, go to the anchor point tool. And you can just figure that out. Go back to your direct select. And let's play around with this one a little more. Alright. I have to put that in the center there. Well, that didn't work, so we'll just move that back over here. Alright, I actually am pretty happy with that. So let's look like it when it's filled. There we go. So let's look at it without the artwork behind it. So there we go. Now I want to add some texture to, well, I'd like to get rid of these really narrow things here. So I'd like to add some points in. Make it a little bit thicker. Just a personal preference. Because it makes it look like it's actually done on purpose, not on accident. Expand this maybe. Alright. Alright. I'm actually liking that a lot. So I want to add some other detail into here. I just don't want it to be black. So trying to add some wood texture in here. And this is a really good area to close those up. Alright, so you don't like the red. I'm not a big fan of it. I just use it as an outline. So I'm going to have that as a fill. Select the black behind it. And now, nope. I pushed minus front like I did with the last one. And there we go. Let's do it to the next side now. Alright, let's do what we did on the last one. Alright. And there we go.